Even when I took a trip, whether it was just a 3-day thing, dude, I'm checking emails, I'm checking my phone messages, it's on my mind. I am physically in a location, but my mind mentally is still at work.
It's not a vacation. It's basically just working in a different area.
Think of one thing that you want to have be your do that you want to work to over the next 3 to 6 months. Write it down and just take the first step. If there's somebody in your life who has ADD, Adventure Deficit Disorder, send this episode to them. Share it with them. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs. I'm Scott Carpenter. With me, as always, my awesome co-host, A.D.D. Boimila. And today we're going to talk about curing A.D.D, which is not attention deficit disorder. It is something that as adults, we just get this. As we grow up, right, we get A.D.D, adventure deficit disorder.
And I think it's even worse, like with business owners, right? Because like we get so wrapped up in our own business, we stop having fun.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. And it's just, well, listen, if you got a 9 to 5, you clock in and you clock out, and yeah, you know, some work weeks or whatever. But at the end of the day, most as an employee, you're really not taking your work home with you all the time.
No, which is kind of nice, but we're not talking to employees right now. We're talking to other people that own businesses. And we all know that we take that shit home with us. Like, work-life boundaries are very much a gray area when it comes to owning your own business.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, even I had this before, even when I took a trip, whether it was just a 3-day thing, you know, if earlier in the stage of entrepreneurship, I'm going away for 2 or 3 days. Dude, I'm checking emails, I'm checking my phone messages. It's on my mind. I am physically in a location, but my mind mentally is still at work.
No, you're still texting clients, you're consulting with leads, you're trying to close leads on vacation. Like, it's not a vacation. It's basically just working in a different area.
It isn't. And sometimes we get so worn out because it's week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. And we're always just trying to get through this month and make the numbers work, and next month and make the numbers work. It's really hard to pull yourself out of that. And sometimes your version of relaxation or whatever, like taking a break, is doing nothing. And
I think the other problem is a lot of us probably took what we found to be relaxing, right? Working out, where we had our hour and we turned it into a job. And now we're like, what do we do to relax? Because I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, sometimes you need to do nothing and relax. But at the end of the day, because we work so much, I mean, as fitness entrepreneurs, we're kind of cursed in the fact that look at our operating hours. You know what I mean? We got prime time early morning, prime time later in the evening, and weekends.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for any harder hours to operate other than maybe the restaurant and bar industry,
which is essentially about the same hours, because we're in a service industry. Because we're in a service industry, we work when everybody else doesn't work.
Yes.
And it's tough.
It is tough. And then as we grow up, we become adults, and maybe you got kids, maybe you don't yet.
And it only becomes harder.
But it becomes way harder. And at the end of the day, we stop living an exciting life. And I like that word excitement, because we can think like, what is it to live a good life? And what is it to be happy, and this and that and the other? What is that, right? And it's harder to wrap your fingers around it, but we can't always be happy, especially when we're doing difficult things. It's not like we're just living in joy and it's unicorns and rainbows and cupcakes. Like, going through hard things is really valuable too.
Yeah.
Right? That's really good. And that's where growth comes from. So we don't want to just have a cushy, happy life where we're not pushing ourselves. Right. So like, if we set all that stuff aside, I'm enjoying life the most and I feel most alive when I'm doing exciting things.
Yeah.
And that does come in the form of challenging myself in business. Now, that also does suck at times. And for swaths of time, sometimes it can. But in our personal lives, quite often we stop doing exciting things after we're kids.
Yeah.
And that's where as adults, we get adventure deficit disorder. We don't do the fun shit or think like, what do I find really freaking fun or exciting? You know?
And listen, I know probably a lot of people listening to this right now are like, well, Andy and Scott, you guys have talked about going on trips and things like that. And yeah, Scott and I both like to travel. It's great. I distinctly remember that when I told my wife I was about to go open a gym, she said, sure, as long as we can still travel. And we have, even from year one of owning the gym to 10 years later, we've taken trips every year, multiple trips, because that's the life that we wanted to build. And I know you take trips with your family all the time too. And while trips are fun, probably a lot of people are saying that thing, well, I don't have the money to take trips or the time to take trips. And I get it. Yeah. It takes time, it takes money, but there are other things that you can do too to help create that sense of adventure and create that fun back in your life that isn't just traveling. Sure, Absolutely. Traveling works, but it's not for everybody and not everybody can do it. And that's okay.
Yep, exactly. And so even when I was broke, like, yeah, for a while, starting up the gyms is really hard for me, right? I was broke. I was just barely making ends meet. So travel was really hard. Although occasionally I would do it. Sometimes just a day trip, going from Phoenix and going up to Flagstaff, exploring Jerome, right? Which is kind of like a ghost town and mountain or whatever. You can do that. Or you can do that amazing hike with that amazing view. You can do those things, but we can take more time off than we think. You did it right from the get-go to do trips and time off, which is hard, and not everybody can do that at every stage in life. But if you focus and make it a priority, you build it in as a priority, it will happen. The issue is most of us don't make that a priority. Your wife is like, that's fine, but I don't want to sacrifice this. So you built it in from day one and made it a priority.
It was one of the things that we focused on. We said, okay, we want to make sure we set up the gym so that we can take a week, 2 weeks. I mean, we had owned the gym for a year and we spent 3 weeks in Thailand. But that's because we had set it up.
Awesome.
We had set it up that way, right? That was how we had planned the gym.
You've got to be intentional, 100%. Right.
And not everyone can do that. But I love what you just said in the sense that you were like, just take a day trip. Like I live right outside Boston, so I'm in New England. So I can go to New Hampshire, I can go to Connecticut, I can go even to New York, right? In a day and come back. I could go up to Portland, which is like probably about an hour and a half drive, spending a day walking around Portland, which has a great food scene, right? And then come back home. And that's on a Saturday, on a Sunday, it's doable.
Yeah. And it's hard because like a lot of times as doing what we do, we just don't have the energy.
We don't.
This will give you energy. I know the last thing you want to do is get out of bed on a Sunday and do whatever, but it will refresh and refuel you because like you're just getting out and experiencing life. And it's worthwhile. And I got the A.D.D, adventure deficit disorder. I think it was from Tim Ferriss's book from like, what was that, in 2008 now, the 4-Hour Work Week or something like that.
Oh yeah, that one. I remember that one.
That's where I pulled that idea from. And and he kind of talks about like dreamlining and like writing down a short list of maybe 3 to 5 things of what you want to have, be, or do. Okay. And writing out a short list. The have things, that's just material stuff. It's not that important.
It's not.
Immediately we think of goals. Oh, I want that car or I want that house. And great. Those are all great things. But like, that's not what builds an amazing, exciting life. But think about the things that you want to be or do. And that's what I really did. And so I remember, and then he kind of like, hey, put a quick timeline on it. In the next 3 or 6 months, pick one of those things on the have, be, and do list, right? Write out how much it would cost and time it would take and star one of them and go after it. Nice. And so I remember doing this. I read that we moved into this new house. Rented. This is a long time ago. Not a nice neighborhood. Okay. I'm still building my business here. Moved into it and I wrote out my dreamlining. One thing that I always wanted to do was be a sword fighter. I know it sounds stupid to a lot of you unless you already know me, but like, Disney's Robin Hood, that animated movie,
Wait, the one with the fox?
The fox, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm dating myself here, right? I was born in 82.
Listen,
I watched
classic,
that
classic
thing
movie.
on VHS until that thing wore out. I was the kid with plastic swords in my shirt, behind my shirt, running around the neighborhood, Dungeons and Dragons, all that kind of stuff. And it's crazy. I literally wrote that down. I want to be a competitive fencer. Had no idea where to start. Had no idea if it was around me. But we just moved this house. We were exploring it. We were taking the dogs for a walk. And about a half-mile-ish away, there's the Deer Valley Community Center, right? It's a couple buildings, and there's a courtyard you walk through. And there's a big park there. So we're walking the dogs, we're walking through the buildings, and I could see through the glass, there's people in there fencing. I'm like,
that's a weird coincidence.
To be, it sounds made up because they fenced only on one night a week for 2.5 hours there. And we happened to, literally wrote it down the day before, and we took that walk, and they were in there at that day, at that time. And I walked in there, got the information. That's a strange coincidence. Oh, it was crazy, and signed up the next day, right? And the crazy thing is, that's the traditional Olympic fencing. It evolved towards, I found, historic European martial arts, HEMA, where we use real blunt swords.
Like broadswords?
Broadswords, long swords, rapiers, sabers.
That's so
all different
cool.
types. Medieval, Renaissance, all these different swords. I can say that you never know what they are. Like, what's a Dusac? What's a this? What's a that? Right?
You might be surprised about how much I know about swords, but that's a topic for another call.
I can't wait to dive into that. You know what? When we do our in-person event here in Scottsdale in November, I'll bring some of the swords.
All right.
And I'll show you a lot of the different plays that you can do. But, and then that evolved. And so I'm a competitive fencer. I was at SoCal last year, tier A rapier fencing, like world ranked. And I freaking love it. It's like 4-year-old Scott is living the dream, right? And
that's amazing.
Just taking your passions and doing fun stuff, doing adventurous stuff. And that actually led to me investing in my favorite sword manufacturer who needed help growing. That's my skill set. And man, we combined forces. We bought a 10,000 square foot building in Oregon to expand production. And we hit over $1 million last year. Our growth rate is insane. And I get to be doing what I love doing. And awesome. My passion project came alive and now pays me to do it, which is pretty amazing, right? So
that reminds me of like a thing that I do, right, for fun.
Yeah.
And here's what we're talking about, right? This is what it really comes down to, is finding something that you love doing that's not work. So I've always been fascinated with cocktails and mixology. I remember being a bartender at one of those cheap college bars when I was in college. But then outside of college, I remember my wife and we sat down at a bar one time to like get dinner. And I remember watching a like world-class, and I don't remember who he was, mixologist, like craft cocktails behind the bar. And it, to me, looked like an orchestra. It looked like a piece of artwork, not only just the drink itself, but him actually doing it. And so I've always been fascinated with it. And then a little while ago, probably about 5 years ago now, I was like, I'm going to dive a little bit into this. So I actually ended up diving into the world and the history of classic tiki cocktails, which is pretty niche in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm talking old school Mai Tais, zombies, that kind of thing. Like from old school California Trader Vic, on the Beachcomber, 1930s, 1940s, and diving into that world. And I just became infatuated with it. So then I actually reached out to a world-class tiki bar here in Boston. And I was like, I would like to work for you guys. And they were like, you don't really have much experience. I was like, no, but I know my stuff. And like, I'm a pretty sociable person. So I got hired right on the spot, and I bartended there twice a week for almost about a year. And it was a lot of fun. And then during that time, I needed another outlet for creative expression. So I started making cocktails at home and filming them, which I still do today. I release about one video a week, and it's just a way for me to do something that's not the gym, right? I don't really do it. I tried to like monetize it at one point, and I was like, it's too stressful. I don't want to make another job. Now I just do it for fun. When I have a spare time on a Friday, I'll shoot a couple videos, do like real type videos, and then just edit them, and then put them out and talk to people about them, right? So people comment on social media and stuff, and I get to create these interactions and these relationships with people who I would have never otherwise met. It allows me to express my creativity and just share knowledge. And it's something that I find which is super fun for me. And it's, again, not work.
That's crazy. It's we couldn't have picked two more obscure things to
right. I know, right?
do it. But that's it.
Of my hobbies, I picked craft tiki cocktails, and you picked competitive fencing
cocktails. Yeah, I mean, like it's. I mean, we're obviously insane, which that's cool. But like, that's the whole point. Is like, you just start digging around. Like, what's this? These are two actually really great ideas, guys. Because what are some things you've always been interested in learning or doing or whatever? Just start diving into it. And this is for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is just fun stuff. And with me, like my kids, like I love board games and card games, like nerd card games, like Magic the Gathering. You know what I mean? Like, so my son just turned 9. We've been playing for years as soon as he could learn to read. And this is advanced strategic games too.
Yeah. So it's fun fact about me. I have not played in some time, but have played a lot of Magic in my past.
Oh, dude, we're having the biggest nerd out when you come here. We're gonna get drunk. We're gonna play Magic.
I'll make cocktails, and we'll play Magic, and then probably take out swords, and it probably won't end well, but it'll be all right.
I like this, but yeah, man, it's these things don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be much, but like, don't lose who you are is kind of what it is, and doing exciting things. And it might just be like, I've always wanted to jump out of an airplane. There's probably a place in your city, go skydiving. Like, it's just Google it and do it. I mean, I think my wife did it back in the Groupon days. I always talked about that.
We did a Groupon skydive. That was sketchy.
Oh, you have no idea. The airplane is like, this is not going to hold up by the time we get up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and also, like, I've always wanted to learn how to sail. She got like a thing where, you know, we went out on Lake Pleasant for, I don't know, 4 hours, and I got to learn all about, you know, the knots and the this and sail a boat and stuff. It was really cool, you know? Awesome. And so think of the things that are just in passing by. Oh, you know, someday I'd like to do that. Well, the idea is make that someday like next week.
And it can be as simple as like, I enjoy going to the movies, right? Like my wife and I, when we first started dating, we would go to the movies a lot. And it's just something I enjoy doing. So now, first of all, I'm taking my kid to his first movie on Friday, and I'm super pumped about that. And then second of all, whenever we have like a night out, we go and look and see, hey, is there a movie playing? And it's as simple as scheduling it. If going to the movies is something that you find fun, or playing board games or card games or golfing, right? Schedule it on a monthly basis. Put it in the calendar. Say, I'm going to do this once a month. It doesn't need to be extravagant. It doesn't need to be huge, but it needs to be something for you that you enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just so important. It's the last thing you want to do when you're busy and you're overwhelmed and stressed with work or whatever it is. But it's the number one thing you can do to keep your batteries recharged.
Yeah.
Period. And I need you. And it's also, again, like, we get into business so that we can have a lifestyle where we're in control of when we go to work and how much we work. And yes, we get into business and it's not that freaking easy. It's a lot more work. It's like, ironically, we're working harder and more hours with less safety than our 9-to-5 job when we start out. But
if we do it right,
if you do it right and you keep building on your education, you keep learning what you don't know and growing, and you do the right things, you build a winnable model, you get good at getting butts in the seats, a consistent reliable source of leads. Absolutely. Yep. You have a good client journey so you don't lose them and you need fewer of them, right? You build an amazing team to start getting leverage on your time. You have that team run very simple systems, and then you continue your development in business as a CEO with your finances, start turning some of those profits into indestructible wealth so you can create passive income. You will continue to create freedom in your life. You'll have enough money to do the adventures that you want. You'll have the time to do them, but only as Andy was saying earlier, only if you choose to make that a priority. And if you don't make your life a priority, and if you don't make building your business so that it serves your life, not you serving your business, it will never happen.
Never.
It'll never happen. So like, this is just a big, if you're kind of stuck in this rut where you're just living to support your business and just it's month after month and year after year, it's the same thing. Like, let this shake you. Like, let me shake you, right? And wake you up. I know it's hard. And it can be downright frustrating, terrible sometimes. But if you don't give up and you keep learning the right things to get yourself in that position, it's going to happen if you make that the clear goal. Period.
Exactly. Well, hopefully this is inspiring to all you guys out there listening. Remember, it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be extravagant, but it needs to be something for you that you enjoy. And just like we tell our clients that they come into the gym or that they work with us and get their exercise in so that they can be better in the rest of their life. We need it too. We need something to recharge us, because what we used to do, which was probably working out, has now become a job, and you got to find something else, and you can't put it off. Yeah. Right. Oops.
Yeah.
And you can't put it off. You've got to prioritize it and make sure you're getting in things that recharge you so that you can show up and be your best self, not only in your job, but in your life as well.
Absolutely. Very well said. So guys, thanks a lot for listening in. Think of one thing that you want to have be your do, that you want to work to over the next 3 to 6 months. Write it down and just take the first step and let us know about it. Shoot me an email at scott@theprofitlifestyle.com. Let me know what your have, be, and do is. I would freaking love it. It would make my day if you sent me an email and let me know what the have, be, and do over the next 3 to 6 months you're working on. It will make my day. So appreciate you guys listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If there's somebody in your life who has ADD, Adventure Deficit Disorder, send this episode to them. Share it with them. Whether they're a business owner or not. Could be your
even
sister.
If they're just a boring adult.
Even if they're just a boring adult. Because everybody needs this stuff, man. All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.